ChatGerry, From Numbers to Intuition, How Data Became a Survival Language, number 1652, May 21, 2026, Gerald C. EclaireMD Foundation, category, Life Reflection. Preface. People sometimes tell me that I seem to have developed a special intuition about my stroke risk. They hear me say that I can often sense whether my risk is rising or falling simply by looking at my TSI-Stroke value and assume I am talking about instinct or a sixth sense. I do not see it that way. Following my hemorrhagic stroke on June 21, 2025, I check my TSI-Stroke value about 20 times per day. Over more than 300 days, that produced over 6,000 observations. At the same time, I monitored blood pressure, glucose, sleep, food intake, hydration, walking steps, emotional stress, and many other variables. Combined with my 17 years of health records, this created a longitudinal dataset exceeding 4 million data points. Over time, my brain stopped treating those values as numbers. They became images. I no longer saw isolated measurements. I saw trajectories, trends, turning points, stabilization periods, and warning signals. It felt more like watching a movie than reading a spreadsheet. What people call intuition is often pattern recognition built from repetition, experience, and reflection. My intuition was not magic. It was data transformed into understanding. Who was responsible for my recovery? Looking back on my health journey since 2010, I cannot honestly point to a single doctor, hospital, medication, or procedure as the primary reason for my recovery. Doctors help diagnose problems, order tests, and provide valuable medical guidance. I remain grateful for their contributions, however. Recovery occurred between medical visits, not during them. The responsibility for managing my body as a continuous living system ultimately rested with me. For more than 16 years, I studied nutrition, metabolism, blood pressure dynamics, glucose regulation, sleep, aging, cardiovascular disease, kidney disease, neuropathy, stroke risk, and many related subjects. I collected more than 4 million of data points and continuously adjusted my lifestyle according to what those data revealed. Health improvement did not come from one decision. It came from thousands of small corrections repeated day after day. Why lifestyle science is so difficult? Many people think lifestyle management is simple. My experience has been the opposite. The human body cannot be understood through a single discipline. Medicine alone is no enough. Mathematics helps explain patterns and nonlinear relationships. Physics explains forces, energy transfer, and fluid flow. Engineering explains feedback loops, stability, and system failure. Computer science and AI help process large amounts of information. Psychology influences behavior and decision-making. Nutrition affects metabolism. Physiology and pathology explain how organs function in health and disease. In daily life, food, exercise, sleep, emotions, metabolism, and aging are all interacting simultaneously. No single factor operates independently. For this reason, I believe lifestyle management deserves recognition as its own multidisciplinary field, lifestyle science. Its importance should never be underestimated because it directly influences disease prevention, recovery, longevity, and survival. The human body as a dynamic system. Body is not a collection of isolated organs. It is a highly interconnected dynamic system that is constantly adapting. Through years of observation, it gradually viewed disease progression as occurring into major phases. The first phase is dominated by fluid behavior. During this stage, blood flow, viscosity, metabolic load, blood pressure, and vascular stress interact continuously. The goal is to detect early movement from stability toward instability before a major event occurs. The second phase is dominated by structural behavior. After years of accumulated stress, tissues begin experiencing wear and fatigue. At this point, the problem becomes less about flow and more about durability. Repeated loading can weaken blood vessels and increase the risk of rupture, blockage, or failure. Both phases are important. Understanding fluid flow explains early disease progression. Understanding structural fatigue explains long-term damage. This perspective helped me see the body as a continuous control system rather than a collection of disconnected measurements. The most important lesson about survival, greatest lesson I learned is simple. Survival is rarely determined by a dramatic event. It is determined by thousands of small decisions repeated consistently over many years. Every meal matters. Every walking step matters. Every night's sleep matters. Every blood pressure reading matters. Every correction made after recognizing a dangerous trend matters. My TSI-Stroke model did not save my life. It is only a warning tool. What mattered was using that warning repeatedly, understanding the direction of my biomedical system, and making immediate adjustments when necessary. Why I use multiplication instead of addition? One important feature of my TSI-Stroke model is its use of multiplication rather than addition. The reason is simple. Multiplication captures interaction. If glucose, pulse pressure, and systolic blood pressure all rise together, their combined effect becomes amplified. Addition treats each factor separately and cannot fully represent that interaction. For example, 1.2 times 1.2 times 1.2 equals 1.728. Although each variable rises only 20%, the combined effect rises 70.8%. This amplification reflects how real biomedical systems behave. Risk factors rarely act independently. They interact with one another. This insight led me to adopt a Newton-inspired multiplicative structure for the TSI-Stroke model. The goal was not simply to create larger numbers but to better represent the nonlinear behavior of a living biomedical system. Conclusion today. When I look at a C trajectory, I am not looking at a number. I am looking at a compressed summary of years of observation, study, mistakes, corrections, and survival. Perhaps intuition is simply knowledge practiced so many times that it becomes part of how we see the world. In my case, that intuition became a survival language inside my brain. This content is provided for educational reference only and does not constitute medical advice. No doctor-patient relationship is created. You may share this summary freely, but it must not be altered, edited, or republished as your own. All intellectual property rights and copyrights for this article and its related materials belong to the author, Gerald C.